I stood in the middle of my parents' living room on Christmas Eve, my phone connected to their massive TV screen, watching my entire family's faces drain of colour as I revealed every single receipt, every lie, every manipulation. The room that had been filled with laughter and clinking glasses 30 seconds ago was now dead silent, except for the sound of my sister Victoria's champagne flute shattering on the hardwood floor. Her boss, Julian's boss, the man they had illegally sold my vacation package to, stood frozen with his mouth hanging open. My mother clutched her pearls. My father's face turned a shade of red I had never seen before. And Victoria, my entitled, manipulative, social media-obsessed sister, looked like she was about to have a stroke. But before I tell you how satisfying that moment was, before I tell you about the $18,000 revenge that changed my life forever, I need you to do something for me. If you have ever felt used by your family, if you have ever been the one everyone takes for granted, the one who always has to be understanding, the one whose boundaries don't matter, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel because I am going to tell you exactly how I went from doormat to someone who finally stood up for herself. And comment below telling me if you have ever had a Victoria in your life, because trust me, after you hear this story, you will understand why sometimes burning bridges is the only way to save yourself. Now let me take you back to where this all started, because nobody becomes a people pleaser overnight and nobody reaches their breaking point without a long, painful journey to get there. My name is Clara, and for 32 years I was the good daughter, the responsible one, the one who always said yes. While my sister Victoria learned that throwing tantrums got her everything she wanted, I learned that being quiet and accommodating kept the peace. My parents made it clear from an early age who the favourite was, and it was not me. Victoria got the bigger bedroom, the newer car, the college fund that somehow never seemed to run out no matter how many times she changed majors. I got a partial scholarship and 2 jobs to pay for the rest. I told myself it was fine. I told myself that being independent made me stronger. I graduated with honours, got my CPA certification, and worked my way up to becoming a financial director at a major firm in Phoenix. I bought myself a beautiful high-rise apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. I drove a car I paid for with my own money. I built a life I was proud of, and I did it all by myself. But here is the thing about being the strong, independent one. Your family starts to see you as an ATM machine with legs, a free babysitting service, a backup plan for when their own poor choices catch up with them. And for years, I let them. It started small. Victoria would call me the night before she needed a babysitter, never asking, always telling. I would cancel my plans because saying no meant being labelled selfish. Then it escalated to borrowing money, which really meant give me money because we both know I am never paying you back. My parents never said a word to Victoria about any of this. Instead, they would call me with their guilt trips about how family helps family, how I made more money than Victoria, so I should be more generous, how my sister was struggling with 5 kids and a husband who was always on thin ice at work. I met Trevor about a year before all of this exploded. He is a corporate lawyer, sharp as a knife with a quiet confidence that I found intoxicating. More importantly, he was the first person who ever looked at the way my family treated me and said, that is not normal. That is not okay. He did not push me to cut them off. He just held up a mirror so I could finally see what I had been refusing to acknowledge for 3 decades. The Christmas before the incident, I had bought expensive gifts for everyone. Victoria posted photos of what I gave her kids on social media, but tagged them as from their mother, not their aunt. My parents gushed over the cashmere sweaters I had carefully selected, but spent the entire dinner talking about Victoria's latest crafting project, which she had abandoned 2 weeks later like every other hobby. I drove home that night and cried in Trevor's arms, and he said something that planted a seed in my mind. He said you cannot keep lighting yourself on fire to keep them warm. But I was not ready to hear it yet, not until what happened 48 hours before this particular Christmas. I had been planning something special. My relationship with Trevor was approaching our 1-year anniversary. and I wanted to do something meaningful for my family too. Despite everything, I still had this desperate hope that if I just gave enough, loved enough, sacrificed enough, they would finally see me. So I did something crazy. I spent $18,000 on a luxury ski vacation package at a 5-star resort in Aspen, Colorado. Not just rooms, but the full experience. Spa packages for my mother, private ski instructors for the kids, the penthouse suite for my parents, connecting rooms for everyone. I designed 12 beautiful gold envelopes, each one containing the details of this dream vacation. I had it all planned. I would present them on Christmas Eve and we would all fly out on Christmas Day. It would be perfect. It would be the moment that finally brought us together. I was so naive. 2 days before Christmas, I was at my office putting the finishing touches on the booking when my phone rang. Victoria, of course. She did not say hello. She did not ask how I was. She launched directly into her demand. "Julian needs to go to his company's holiday party," Victoria said. "It is tomorrow night. This is his last chance to impress his boss. We need you to watch the kids." I took a deep breath. "Victoria, I cannot do it tomorrow. Trevor and I have our anniversary dinner. We have had this reservation for months." There was a pause, and then her voice went cold. "Are you seriously telling me that your little date night is more important than Julian's career? More important than your family?" "It is not a little date night," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "It is important to me. I am sorry, but I already have plans." She hung up on me. I thought maybe, just maybe, she would find someone else. Her mother-in-law, a friend, literally anyone else. I actually felt guilty for saying no, which is insane when I think about it now. But that is what years of conditioning does to you. An hour later, my receptionist called. "Miss Chen, there are 5 children in our lobby. They say they are your nieces and nephews." I ran down to find Victoria's kids ranging from age 3 to 11, sitting on the leather couches in my corporate office lobby. The oldest one handed me a note. "Had to go. You did not leave me any choice. If you do not watch them, call the police and explain why you are so selfish." Victoria. My hands were shaking. I called her 17 times. She did not pick up. I called my parents. My mother actually had the nerve to say, "Well, Clara, you should have just said yes. Now look at the position she was forced into. Just take them for the night. It is not that hard." I had to cancel my anniversary dinner with Trevor. I loaded 5 children into my sedan and drove to Victoria's house, which was in a subdivision way beyond what her and Julian's income could actually support. When I got there, the house was empty. I fed the kids, put them to bed in their own rooms, and then I made a mistake. I opened Facebook. Victoria had posted a video 30 minutes earlier. She and Julian were at an upscale wine bar doing a live stream tasting. She was laughing, her hair perfectly curled, wearing a new dress I know she put on a credit card she cannot pay off. The caption read, "Much needed date night, so blessed." I called her. This time she answered on speakerphone. I could hear the noise of the bar in the background, people laughing and glasses clinking. "I cannot believe you," I said. "You lied to me. There is no company party." She laughed. "Oh, Clara, you are so uptight. We just needed a break. You are their aunt. You are supposed to help. Do not be so dramatic. Someone at the bar must have said something funny because I heard Julian laughing." Then Victoria's voice got louder, like she was performing for an audience. "Seriously, she has all this money, and she cannot even watch her nieces and nephews without throwing a fit. Some people are just naturally selfish." The people at the bar laughed. She ended the call. I sat on her couch surrounded by her kids' toys and her Instagram perfect throw pillows that she bought instead of paying me back the $3,000 she owes me, and I felt something crack inside my chest. Then my phone rang again. My father. "Your mother and I are very disappointed in you, Clara. Victoria called us crying because you made her feel bad for trying to have one night with her husband. That girl works so hard. She does not need you making her life more difficult. Dad, she lied to me. She manipulated me into cancelling my plans. She dumped her kids at my office. You make more than enough money to miss one dinner," he said. "When are you going to stop being so selfish and start thinking about this family?" And then He said the words that would change everything. If you cannot be a team player, do not bother showing up on Christmas Eve. We will just tell everyone that you are too busy for your own family. He hung up. I sat there in Victoria's house until midnight when she and Julian finally stumbled in, drunk and giggling. She looked surprised to see me still there. "Oh, I thought you would just put them to bed and leave," she said, kicking off her heels. "Thanks, though." Trevor picked me up. He took one look at my face and did not say anything, just drove me home and held me while I cried. When I finally stopped, he said, "You know what you have to do." And this time, I was ready to hear it. I went home and opened my laptop. I pulled up Facebook and saw that Victoria had made another post while I was driving. She had announced the Aspen trip. My trip. The one I had not even told her about yet because I was saving it for Christmas Eve. Somehow she had gone through my things while I was watching her children and found the envelopes. But that was not even the worst part. The worst part was that she had taken credit for the entire thing. The post read, "So excited to announce that I'm treating my entire family to a luxury ski vacation in Aspen. My baby sister is helping with some of the costs, but I have been planning this for months. Cannot wait to make these memories. Blessed to be able to give back to the people who raised me." The post had 73 likes and comments full of people praising Victoria for being such a generous daughter and sister. Someone had even commented, "You are so lucky to have a sister who contributes, even though it is really your gift." I clicked on Victoria's profile and scrolled. That is when I found them. Messages in a public group she was part of. Messages where she had offered 2 spots on the trip, my spot and Trevor's spot to Julian's boss and his wife. She was trying to sell access to my vacation to save her husband's job. "I am getting my sister to pay for everything," one message read. "I will just tell her there was a mix-up with the booking. She always backs down. Easy." I took screenshots of everything. Then I called Trevor. When he saw what Victoria had done, his lawyer brain kicked in immediately. "This is fraud," he said. "She is selling something she does not own. But more than that, this is your line in the sand, Clara. You do not just cancel this trip, you make it count." "What do you mean?" He smiled. "I mean, you turn this into a lesson they will never forget." I called the resort. The person who answered was named Amanda, and she was incredibly kind when I explained that I needed to make some changes to my booking. I did not cancel. Instead, I did something much better. I upgraded the entire $18,000 package into an exclusive couples-only penthouse experience. The resort's most luxurious suite, normally booked months in advance, private chef, private hot tub on a balcony overlooking the mountains, couples spa treatments, champagne service, the works, just for Trevor and me. Every other name on the reservation was removed. "Here is the important part," I told Amanda. "I do not want any cancellation notification sent out. This reservation is under my name and my credit card. No one else has any legal right to this booking, correct?" "That is correct, Miss Chen. Since you are the primary account holder and sole payment source, we will only communicate with you." "Perfect," I said. I slept better that night than I had in years. The next morning, Christmas Eve, Victoria sent me a text. "See if you just cooperate. Everyone is happy. We are all going to have such an amazing time tomorrow. Make sure you bring nice gifts tonight. Mum said you better not show up empty-handed after the drama you caused." I responded with one sentence. "I have a very special surprise to share with everyone tonight." She sent back a string of excited emojis. My mother called an hour later to make sure I was coming and to remind me that I should apologise to Victoria for overreacting. I said I would be there. I did not say anything else. Trevor picked me up at 6. I wore a red dress that I had been saving for a special occasion. I looked powerful. I felt powerful. We drove to my parents' house in the suburbs, the same house where I had spent my childhood learning that I would always come second. When we walked in, the scene was exactly what I expected. Victoria was holding court in the living room, surrounded by her kids and my parents. Julian's boss and his wife were there looking uncomfortable but trying to be polite. My parents had clearly gone all out with the decorations and food, probably because they wanted to impress the boss. Victoria spotted me and her eyes narrowed slightly, probably because I looked too good and was taking attention away from her. Clara, you made it. Did you bring them, you know what? She meant the envelopes. She thought I was going to hand them out and let her continue to take credit. My mother rushed over and hugged me, but it was performative, the kind of hug you give when other people are watching. We are so glad you decided to join us, she said loudly. Family is everything, right? Right, I said. My father came over and put his arm around me, squeezing a little too tight. He leaned in and whispered, "You better not embarrass us tonight. Julian's boss is here. This is important for your sister." I smiled at him. "Do not worry, Dad. Tonight is going to be unforgettable." Dinner was exactly as painful as I expected. Victoria talked non-stop about the Aspen trip, giving detailed itineraries that she had clearly pulled from the booking confirmation she had stolen from my purse. She kept saying "we" when she meant I planned this and I am paying for this. Julian's boss kept thanking her for the generous invitation. My parents kept beaming at Victoria like she had just won a Nobel Prize. I ate my food and said nothing. Trevor squeezed my hand under the table. After dessert, Victoria stood up and clinked her glass. Before we exchanged gifts, she said, "I just want to say how blessed I am to have such an amazing family. Tomorrow, we are all going to make incredible memories together in Colorado. And I am just so grateful that I am in a position to give back to the people who have given me so much." The room erupted in applause. She looked at me, and there was a challenge in her eyes. "Your turn, Clara. Did you bring something to share?" I stood up. "Actually, I did." I pulled out my phone. "I think it would be better if I showed everyone on a bigger screen, though." "Dad, can I connect to the TV?" My father looked confused but nodded. "Of course, honey." I connected my phone to their smart TV. The first thing I pulled up was the receipt. $18,000 charged to my credit card under my name only. The room went quiet. "This is the actual cost of the Aspen trip," I said calmly. "You will notice that Victoria's name appears nowhere on this document. That is because she did not plan it. She did not pay for it. She did not even know about it until she went through my purse 2 nights ago, while I was taking care of her children, who she had abandoned at my office." Victoria's face went white. "Clara, what are you doing?" "I am telling the truth," I said. "Next slide." I pulled up her Facebook post, the one where she took credit for everything. Then I pulled up her messages in the public group, the ones where she was trying to sell spots on the trip that she did not own. Julian's boss leaned forward, his expression darkening. "And here is my personal favourite," I continued. I pulled up the security camera footage that Trevor had obtained from my office building. It showed Victoria pulling up, unloading 5 children and driving away. I played the audio of her voicemail. "If you do not watch them, call the police and explain why you are so selfish." The room was silent except for the sound of my mother starting to cry. But they were not tears of understanding. They were tears of embarrassment that this was all coming out in front of guests. Victoria lunged for my phone, but Trevor stood up. He is 6'3" and was wearing a perfectly tailored suit. He stepped between us smoothly. "I would not do that, Victoria." Attempting to destroy evidence could be considered obstruction, depending on what your sister decides to do with all of this. "Do with it," my father exploded. "What is there to do?" So Victoria exaggerated a little bit. "That is what you are destroying Christmas over." She did not exaggerate, I said. She committed fraud. She attempted to sell access to a vacation package that I paid for that is under my name to Julian's employer for personal gain. Julian's boss stood up slowly. He looked at Julian and Victoria with disgust. "Is this true? You were trying to bribe me with a vacation that you had no right to offer." "Sir, I can explain," Julian started, but his boss held up his hand. "Save it. I have seen enough." He looked at his wife. "We are leaving. And Julian, do not bother coming in after the holiday. You are done." Julian's face crumpled. He turned to Victoria. "This is all your fault. You said you had it handled. You said your sister always backed down." My mother found her voice. "Clara, look what you have done. You have ruined your brother-in-law's career. You have humiliated your sister in front of everyone. How could you be so cruel?" "How could I be so cruel?" I repeated slowly. I turned to look at her directly. For 32 years, I have watched you excuse every terrible thing Victoria has done. Every tantrum, every lie, every time she has used people. You taught her that the world revolves around her and that I only exist to serve her. You made me feel like my only value was in how much I could give, how much I could sacrifice, how small I could make myself so she could shine brighter. My father stepped forward. Do not talk to your mother like that. Why not, I asked. You talk to me like I am nothing, all the time. 2 nights ago, you told me not to come to Christmas if I could not be a team player. Well, Dad, I am not on this team anymore. I turned back to the room. The Aspen trip is still happening tomorrow, but not for any of you. I upgraded the reservation last night. The entire package is now a couple's retreat for Trevor and me. The penthouse suite, private amenities, everything. Your names have been removed from the resort system. Victoria finally found her voice. You cannot do that. That is our trip. No, I said firmly. It was never your trip. It was my money, my booking, my generosity that you tried to steal and sell. And now it is my vacation with my boyfriend. I turned to Julian's boss, who was standing by the door with his coat. I am so sorry that they wasted your time, sir. Victoria had no authority to offer you anything. I hope this does not reflect poorly on Julian's work performance, although I understand if it does. It absolutely does, he said coldly. He looked at Julian one more time. Security will pack up your desk. They left. The door closed behind them with a heavy thud. Julian stood there and I watched his face go through several emotions at once. Shock, rage, despair. Then he did something I did not expect. He turned and slapped Victoria across the face. This is all your fault, he screamed. Everything we have worked for gone because you cannot stop lying. My father moved to break them up, but Trevor was faster. He stepped in between them. Domestic violence is a crime, Julian. I suggest you leave before I call the police. Julian grabbed his coat and left, slamming the door so hard that a picture frame fell off the wall. Victoria was crying now, big, ugly sobs that smeared her makeup. She looked at me with pure hatred. I hope you are happy, she spat. You have destroyed my life. No, I said quietly. I stopped enabling you to destroy mine. My mother was clinging to my father, both of them looking at me like I had just committed murder. My father's voice was shaking with rage. Get out of this house. You are not our daughter anymore. Fine, I said. I have spent my whole life trying to earn your love. I am done. You two created this monster. You enabled every bad behaviour you praised, every manipulation you punished me for having boundaries. You turned Victoria into someone who thinks she can take whatever she wants and face no consequences. And you made me feel like I deserved to be treated like garbage. I looked around the room one last time. The expensive decorations, the perfect tree, the beautiful table settings, all of it was a stage for a performance of a happy family that never actually existed. Trevor and I left. As we drove away, I could see my mother in the doorway still crying. My phone started ringing immediately. I turned it off. We went back to my apartment, and I finally let myself fall apart. I cried for hours, not because I regretted what I had done, but because I was grieving the family I had always wanted, but never actually had. Trevor held me and let me cry it all out. When I woke up the next morning, Christmas Day, I had 237 missed calls and text messages. I did not read any of them. Trevor and I drove to the airport. Our bags were already packed. I found out later what happened to my family that morning. They showed up at the airport anyway, convinced that I was bluffing. Victoria, Julian, their 5 kids, my parents, all of them, with their ski clothes and their luggage, absolutely certain that they could bully their way onto the plane, or that the resort would honour their names even though they were not on the reservation. They caused such a scene that airport security had to get involved. Someone filmed the whole thing and posted it on TikTok. The video went viral. Karen family has meltdown over cancelled ski trip. It has 3 million views now. You can watch my sister screaming at the airline attendant, insisting that her sister stole her vacation. You can see my mother crying about how disrespectful young people are these days. The comments are not kind. Meanwhile, Trevor and I were landing in Aspen. The resort was more beautiful than I could have imagined. Our penthouse suite had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking snow-covered mountains. There was a private hot tub on the balcony. The bed was bigger than my first apartment. That night we soaked in the hot tub under the stars, drinking champagne, watching the snow fall in soft, perfect flakes. My phone was still off. I had taken out the SIM card and broken it in half before dropping it in the trash. Trevor watched me do it and smiled. "How do you feel?" he asked. I thought about it. I felt lighter, like I'd been carrying a backpack full of rocks for 3 decades and had finally been allowed to set it down. "Free," I said. "I feel free." We spent 5 days in Aspen. We skied every morning, ate incredible food, got couples massages, made love in front of the fireplace, and talked about our future. Trevor asked me to move in with him. I said yes. When we got back to Phoenix, I kept my phone off for another week. When I finally turned it on with a new SIM card, there were over 1,000 missed notifications. I deleted them all without reading them. I blocked every member of my family on every platform. I changed my number and only gave it to people who actually respected me. I heard through a mutual acquaintance what happened to everyone. Victoria's viral video made her unemployable in her small town. Her social media accounts, which she had used to build her entire identity, became flooded with negative comments. People from her past came forward with stories about her lying and manipulating people. She lost all her mummy blogger sponsorships. Julian did divorce her eventually. He moved across the country and refuses to pay more than court-ordered child support. My parents tried to pay off some of Victoria's debts to save face in their community, but it bankrupted them. They ended up having to downsize to a small condo. Last I heard, Victoria was living with them, all 8 of them crammed into a 2-bedroom apartment, still blaming me for everything while refusing to take any accountability for her own actions. As for me, I got promoted at work. Trevor and I did move in together, and 6 months later, he proposed. We got married in a small ceremony with only people who genuinely loved us. No family drama, no obligations, no guilt. Just love and celebration. I started therapy to work through the decades of conditioning and emotional abuse. It has been hard, but I am learning to recognize my worth beyond what I can provide for others. I am learning that boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary. I am learning that the people who get angry when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. If I regret burning that bridge so spectacularly, so publicly, so completely. And my answer is always the same: no. Because that bridge was never actually connecting me to anything good. It was just a path they used to walk all over me whenever they needed something. Burning it down was not destruction. It was liberation. The thing about being a people pleaser is that you think if you just give enough love, enough sacrifice, enough, eventually people will see your value and treat you accordingly. But the truth is, people who are willing to use you will never respect you. Respect has to be demanded. And sometimes that means walking away from people who refuse to give it to you, even if those people are family. Family is supposed to be the people who love you unconditionally, who support you, who celebrate your successes instead of resenting them. But when your family sees you as a resource instead of a person, when they punish you for having needs of your own, when they only want you around for what you can provide, they are not really family. They are just people you are related to. That Christmas, I gave myself the greatest gift I could have imagined. I gave myself permission to stop shrinking so that other people could feel bigger. I gave myself the freedom to be selfish, which really just means having a self worth protecting. I gave myself a future that was not defined by managing other people's dysfunction. And you know what? That $18,000 vacation was worth every single penny. Not because of the luxury resort or the incredible views or the perfect snow, but because it was the price of my freedom, the price of finally understanding that I deserved better, The price of learning that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. So here is what I want you to take from my story. If you are the person in your family who always gives, always sacrifices, always understands, always forgives, ask yourself this: when was the last time someone did that for you? When was the last time your needs came first? When was the last time someone in your family sacrificed their comfort for yours? If you cannot answer those questions, or if the answer makes your chest tight with recognition, you might be where I was. And if you are, I want you to know something. You deserve better. You deserve to be valued for who you are, not just for what you can provide. You deserve relationships where love flows both ways. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to say no. You deserve to be angry when people mistreat you. And most importantly, you deserve to walk away from anyone who makes you feel like you have to earn basic respect and decent treatment. Is it easy? No. Will it hurt? Absolutely. Will people call you selfish and cruel and ungrateful? Probably. But I promise you this: the temporary pain of setting boundaries is nothing compared to the permanent damage of having none. So I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment where you finally stood up to someone who was using you? Or are you still in that situation trying to figure out if you have the strength to walk away? Drop a comment and tell me your story. And if this resonated with you, if you have ever felt like the family ATM, or the perpetual babysitter, or the one who always has to be understanding, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because I share stories like this, about reclaiming your life and your power. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you are not the villain for refusing to be the victim anymore. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is choose yourself even when everyone else wants you to choose them. That $18,000 ticket bought me more than a vacation. It bought me my life back. What would you do with $18,000? More importantly, what would you do to reclaim your life?